Hello, my rubber hearts. Today's episode of Technologists Toolbox is all about natural rubber, the material that looks simple on paper but keeps humbling technologists the moment they start working with it seriously. If you've ever wondered why natural rubber behaves slightly different from batch to batch, or why two bales with the same grade can still mix and cure differently, the answer sits deep inside its molecular weight and molecular weight distribution. Let's start with the core difference between natural rubber and synthetic rubber. Synthetic rubbers are made in controlled reactors. Temperature, monomer feed, catalyst concentration, reaction time, and termination are all tightly regulated. That means molecular weight and molecular weight distribution are engineered targets. Once the recipe is set, the polymer comes out nearly the same every time. Natural rubber doesn't get that luxury. NR is produced by a living system. The polymer chains are synthesized inside the tree, not inside the reactor. Each rubber particle forms through enzymatic processes, and those processes respond to biology, environment, and stress. The result is a polymer with a naturally broad molecular weight distribution even before you start processing it. That wide distribution is part of why natural rubber has such excellent green strength and fatigue resistance, but it's also the reason it can be so unpredictable. Variability starts at the tree level. Different clones produce latex with different average molecular weights. Tree age matters. Younger trees tend to give different chain lengths distributions than older ones. Tapping frequency matters too. Heavy tapping stresses the tree and can shift the molecular weight profile. Then there's the season. Rainfall, temperature, sunlight, and soil conditions all influence latex composition. During wet season, latex often has higher non-rubber components like proteins and lipids. During dry seasons, molecular weight and viscosity can shift again. Even within the same plantation, latex collected in the morning can differ slightly from the latex collected later in the day. Processing adds another layer of variability. Once latex is harvested, it doesn't magically freeze in time. Coagulation method, preservation system, storage time, drying conditions, and smoking all influence the polymer. Excessive heat or long storage before drying can cause chain scission. Improper coagulation can trap impurities. Smoking introduces additional chemistry that affects odor and breakdown behavior. By the time the rubber reaches you as a bale, it has already lived a complex life. This is why molecular weight control in natural rubber is statistical, not absolute. You don't get one precise value, you get a distribution, and that distribution can shift from batch to batch and season to season. That is also why natural rubber grades are based on viscosity ranges and impurity limits, not on exact molecular weight numbers. This brings us directly to Mooney viscosity, which is one of the most important tools a rubber technologist has when working with natural rubber. Mooney viscosity doesn't measure molecular weight directly, but it responds very strongly to it. Higher molecular weight and broader distributions generally give higher Mooney values. Lower molecular weights or more chain scission lowers Mooney. Mooney is practical. It tells you how the rubber will behave in the mixer, on the mill, and during shaping. That is why it's measured on every batch and tracked obsessively in production environments. When viscosity drifts upward, mixing becomes harder, torque rises, and dispersion slows. When the viscosity drops too low, the rubber loses green strength, becomes sticky, and can fail during calendering or building. For natural rubber, Mooney is not just a quality control number, it's a survival tool. And this is where peptizers come into the story. Natural rubber enters the mixer with long, entangled polymer chains. Without help, mastication can take a long time and consume a lot of energy. Peptizers are added to accelerate controlled chain scission during early mixing. They help break the longest chains so the rubber reaches a workable viscosity faster and more consistently. Peptizers are usually added at the start of the mix, before fillers, when the rubber is still relatively pure. Timing matters. Add them too late and they do nothing. Add too much and you permanently damage the polymer, reducing tensile strength and fatigue life. Used correctly, peptizers reduce batch-to-batch variability and stabilize Mooney. Used incorrectly, they erase one of natural rubber's biggest advantages, its strength. This is also why natural rubber compounds often include tighter Mooney targets than synthetic ones. With synthetics, you assume consistency. With natural rubber, you measure and adjust. You watch Mooney, you tune mastication time, you adjust peptizer levels seasonally. Good technologists even notice patterns over the year and anticipate them before they show up in production problems. So the reason natural rubber feels alive compared to synthetic rubber is because it is. Its molecular weight distribution reflects biology, weather, processing, and time. That variability is what gives natural rubber its exceptional performance, but it's also what demands respect, measurement, and control. Once you understand why natural rubber varies, you stop fighting it and start managing it. And that's when natural rubber turns from a headache into one of the most powerful materials in your toolkit. Until next time, stay elastic and stay curious.